All right, how are you doing, everyone? I think I see that people still have energy to push through before we go for the lunch, so pay attention. So, really glad to be here. My name is Sami. I'm the CMO at Trust Wallet. So, let's be real. I think we have a full house of top Web3 marketers, growth leaders, founders. I think all of you have been working on the fact that you want to get visibility, awareness, and you could even say hype for your products. Basically, you want to know that people are speaking about you, but on the other hand, you probably are balancing on the fact that you want to get true users, actual users who are actually using your product. For example, at Trust Wallet, it's all about that we get downloads, we get wallets, we actually get users who are transacting, swapping, and staking with the product. So today, my question to you, and what I'm going to discuss here, and we can take it offline afterwards, how are we going to balance those things? So basically it comes down to Mindshare and market share. How you're going to win in both of those to get a sustainable business growth, and that you can stay in the business for the long term while actually creating value for the users. So the inspiration of this one actually came from Justin, in full honesty. Like, I was reading his X article last year. You can check out his X article called From Measurable to Memorable. And I think that he summarized really well that you need to have Mindshare, which is the gateway to market share. And me operating for the past 4 years in crypto space, started at Binance, and the last 2 years I have been having the honor to be working on marketing at Trust Wallet. I also realized that when we actually, whatever marketers are actually doing, it comes down to basically those two things, Mindshare and market share. You might be calling it with different words. You might be calling it brand positioning, like Ekram said. It might be personal branding. It can be founder-led branding. And on the market share front, it can be, some tactics. It can be airdrops, KOL activations. It can be even some Web2 efforts like SEO or paid ads. So let's define Mindshare. Obviously, I think there's been already quite a few frameworks that we have been discussing, but basically Mindshare is all about how your brand is being perceived. What is your audience thinking about you, and do they trust you, and how do they trust about you? The metrics are usually share of voice, or it can be NPS score, or it can be other qualitative survey, for example. On the market share front, usually that's you're comparing actually how many users you have, or it's a comparable metric, you versus your competitors who are actually sticking with your product month over month. Now some examples. Mindshare, I'm just taking two Web2 examples. These are pretty obvious, but let's just go through them anyway. So Apple, you might be thinking that Apple is the leading smartphone producer. They have the top premium tech. Well, actually, they might not be even the biggest one. In some of the markets, they are not even leading. There might be some other Android phone producers, smartphone producers who are leading. Tesla, on the other hand, is oftentimes a synonym for electric vehicles, while we already know that they are definitely being outsold in some markets at current market. ChatGPT is still the acronym for AI, while there's already many other AI models already out in the market. And when it comes to crypto, I'm just taking Solana as an example. They got Mindshare by being the meme coin of, network outages. But right now they're actually dominating. They did the things correct. They have fast transactions, low gas fees, and basically during this cycle they are dominating, especially on meme coins, as we all know. On market share front, I was kind of thinking what would be a good Web3 or crypto example, and some of you might disagree with this one, but I say that it's Hyperliquid. They basically built a good product. They did launch with market share first. I would say market share first because they did airdrop. They did a really good and strong airdrop, which in my mind goes under the market share activities. And that created massive hype. Basically, through their market share efforts, they were able to get the mind share. Everybody got attention. Okay, there's a new perp trading platform. I can do derivatives trading. They have this token, and seems like the product is really promising. So they got mind share, and that funneled back to the mind share. So basically, they were super clever in building this flywheel model. So those are some examples about mind share and market share. Now, you might be wondering here, like, okay, now we know what is mind share, what is market share. Somebody have been doing some activities that they are the leaders in mind share, and they actually have been getting users to buy their products, use their products. So tell me how we can make this actionable. And I would like to summarize that we can categorize it based on 4 key focus areas. But the 2 key focus areas I want to say is that when we at Trust Wallet, when we operate, we want to focus on mindshare or market share. Mindshare is mainly being driven by obvious branding efforts. I already mentioned some of those examples. And on the market share, we say growth efforts. So what are those activities under there? So on brand front, you really want to make sure that people are speaking about you. You want to make sure, like Ekram mentioned, that you have a really strong storyline. Users understand what's your vision, why they should care about you, why they really should associate with you and be with you on your journey as you go. So some examples can be actually comms efforts, it can be social, it can be that founder or personal branding, it can be events. One example I have here, actually, give me a sec here, guys. So we also have been putting some efforts on swag. So I personally love my jacket. I don't know about you, but like we actually got some mindshare, in my opinion, because we were in one of the conferences in Dubai, and people actually were stealing these jackets from employees. So I would say that's a good example of a strong mindshare that you really actually capture that. Unfortunately, we don't have jackets, but we still have some swag over there. Be sure to take some if you didn't already. And usually the time horizon for brand efforts is somewhat long-term to mid-term. In crypto, you always would like to get branding, mindshare within weeks or months, but we have seen that it takes a long time to clarify who you are and why users should stick with you. Now, market share is mostly about growth. Like you want to do activities and efforts that users will actually convert to use your product. Usually the brand and mindshare is gateway. You need to have some awareness that users actually trust you. For example, in Trust Wallet, people know that we are a secure multi-chain wallet, and they know like, okay, if I want to go to self-custody, like Trust Wallet is the one, and you need to do efforts like SEO. SEO is one of those things that goes between branding and growth, but I still position that more under growth efforts. It can be also KO efforts, it can be airdrops like I mentioned, or it can be some other paid ads in Web2 channels. And these are focusing usually on short to mid-term time horizon. Now, I think one key thing I have seen is that what marketers will oftentimes have oversight on is the fact that they think like, okay, I've been hired to do marketing, so I only do mindshare, market share. I do brand and growth efforts, and that's it. That's my job. I don't do anything else. Then you're doing actually really good efforts. You do massive efforts, but then you're thinking like, okay, I have massive impressions, but I don't see any traction. I don't get any users. On the other hand, you might be getting a lot of users, but then you realize that, okay, they're leaving. They don't stick with you, but they churn away. So in that point, you as a marketer, you need to, and I have seen this because, you know, you are so busy in Web3. Basically, you're working sometimes even 24/7, but you need to make sure that you use the product. You need to have the user persona kind of a profile. Like you need to think like, okay, is my product actually having the product market fit or not? So use the product yourself, use the competitor products, and also make sure that you work with product or engineering or whoever team is building your product, that you can get those product feedback loops. Get them ideally inside the product, but you don't need to even necessarily do that. You can just find your own community, use the marketing channels, or just ask people to test your product during events like this one, and make sure you can make the product your ally and not your enemy. And by that I mean that we as marketers, we oftentimes we just focus on external, like we just focus on the audience, our addressable audience, but you can do it. You can just influence also the internal stakeholders. It is founder, product or engineering teams, and make sure that you explain like, hey, we're doing all these efforts on Mindshare and market share, but I see that there's something wrong with the product market fit, or we need to tweak these things. And if we fix it, we can get exponential growth. And the fourth one, I want to say, like, usually this is an obvious one, but the team is at the core, especially on marketing side, like what worked in last cycle may not work in this cycle. Make sure that you have those people in the team who are able to build the right brand, growth playbooks. They also test the product, and when there's a narrative or opportunity, they can capitalize that during the bull market. And use the tactics to actually capture both mindshare and market share. Now, I'm not working in a Web3 agency. We have hype people here. Ekram also actually covered some nice frameworks here. But I'm going to propose one new framework today, which I call product mindshare fit and product market share fit. In my mind, the product mindshare fit means that you have all of those capabilities in place. You have brand growth, product. The product doesn't need to be even the best, and you have the team that when there is an opportunity, a specific narrative coming up, you can capture that one. At Trust Wallet, what many people don't know actually, last summer when the Tap to Earn momentum actually started, we didn't have Ton Connect integrated. We didn't even support the whole Ton ecosystem overall, but we were able to show to actually the Tap to Earn projects that we are able to give them traffic, we are able to give them branding, we are able to give them visibility, and on the other side, we had 16 million monthly active users to whom we wanted to get exposure, join the Tap to Earn opportunities, play the games, and you can qualify for airdrops. So we were having a creative way how to do this. We integrated between our Trust Wallet app, a direct flow to Telegram that users were able to connect their wallet, play the games, and then they got the airdrops within Trust Wallet. So that's just one example. Also, product mindshare fit means that you need to know what you shouldn't be doing, or if you don't have the capabilities. I'm just fully honest here, we know Trust Wallet, for example, we obviously see it this way, but and users are, and our community say that we are the most secure wallet. We have a multi-chain opportunities. We have the in-app experiences. But the reality is that Solana experience hasn't been the best one. Did we FOMO on not capturing the user and user traffic and volumes? Of course we did. But we didn't try to brute force it. It doesn't make sense to, push users to go there when there's a hot token. We didn't have auto slippage back then, which we will have just in a bit. So you need to also be bold enough not to try to do things that are not providing user value if your product is not sustainable there. So we are getting there. We are getting there, but until then, I think you as a marketing team and organization need to know what you shouldn't be capturing and capitalizing on. Now, I'm not going to speak too much about the product market share fit, but basically how I would say here is that on Trust Wallet side, it basically means that if you don't have even Mindshare, let's just take an example that some user, a newbie or native, just wants to, go to self-custody from a centralized exchange. But for some reason, they didn't hear about Trust Wallet. I say that the product market share fit means that when they're exploring their opportunity, they cannot simply avoid you when they go to organic channels. They check self-custody wallet, They say Trust Wallet is getting the most ranks and hits on SEO traffic. They see that there's a lot of YouTube videos, and you basically make sure that users cannot avoid. If they have a use case or they want to do something, they're like, okay, it seems like this same solution or provider is just coming up all the time, so maybe I just need to give them a chance. So that's my kind of a recommendation. Use the brand growth, product fit team to capitalize both Mindshare, focus on Mindshare first, and that will be the gateway to the market share, and then you can build growth flywheels there. Now, the final thing I want to also mention here that oftentimes people see, and I see it this way, that market share is always rented. You need to rent it. What I mean by rent is that you need to pay for it. You need to pay for airdrops. Oftentimes you need to pay for KOLs. You need to pay for paid ads. SEO is not also free. You need to have a copywriter, a freelancer, somebody who's actually building that one. Mindshare is something that you can actually own. So make sure that you really capitalize, like Ekram said as well, like make sure that your storyline is clear. What's your vision? And make sure that you truly own that one. And finally, I want to also highlight to all of the marketers that make sure that you put attention also on the product. Make sure you have the team in place. Unless you have all of these in place, the market share and Mindshare will vanish. So my question here is that given we are in quite interesting crypto cycle, as we all know probably, it's way different than the previous ones. I want to ask the audience today, like, what are you focusing currently? Are you focusing on Mindshare, market share, or both? And is your product and team in a place to actually be ready to execute on these ones? So let's continue the discussion over the lunch, which we are just about to go into, and we can also discuss how Trust Wallet could be helping you out. It's been a pleasure to share my thoughts on Mindshare, market share, and thank you everyone.